Selamat sejahtera dan selamat sepup. Sepoops, if you've ever wanted to learn how to give a disastrous press conference, there are fewer better masters than Housing and Local Government Minister Nga Kor Ming at the Visit Malaysia 2026 I Lite You project launch. TLDR, he scolded and lots of people say threatened a journalist from Utusan who asked him why the I Lite You project was in English and not in Malay. So badly to the point that even the National Union of Journalists came out, criticized him. Fahmi had to come out and intervene, say that journalists have the right to ask questions, and the big man himself had to come out and say he has the right to correct the record and he's gonna actually meet with Utusan very soon. Well, not bad for something random that you said in the course of a 15-minute press conference, but well, let's listen to the original.
This is Visit Malaysia year, tahun 20. Okay? You have to learn how to come out from your comfort zone. Ini target kita adalah pelancong dari seluruh dunia. Sekiranya kita tidak dapat menguasai bahasa Inggeris, though that we must make sure that every tourist come here will have a sense of belonging. Okay? Kita menghormati bahasa kebangsaan sudah tentunya. So, saya harap saudara, jangan jadikan ini satu isu. Which media you come from? Utusan Malaysia. I will remember, I will call your chief editors.
That is the reason why the whole country is scolding him at the moment. But see, then he goes,
Alright? No, ini adalah projek nasional dan kita nak pastikan pelancong dari 206 negara. If I can speak Portuguese, I am more than happy to do so. Because to us, we are colorblind. We want to make sure that tourists will feel welcome in this country. Slogan Tourism Malaysia adalah Malaysia Truly Asia. Okay, Malaysia Truly Asia, ini telah tema utama. Sebab itu kita nak merancakkan kebudayaan Melayu, kebudayaan Islam, kebudayaan Cina, kebudayaan India, Iban, Kadasan. Macam lagu Siti Nurhaliza lah. Melayu, Cina, India, Iban, Kadasan, kita sejiwa. Itu matlamat dia. Okay, utusan? Boleh ya? Gentleman agreement. I don't want you to come here and highlight the thing, you spoil the entire thing. I will hold utusan, I will call your chief editors.
okay, wow, spoil the entire thing. Now, that's an interesting one. And for that, I want to focus on one very specific part.
Dengar baik-baik, Tourism Malaysia sudah mensasarkan ketibaan 47 juta pelancong asing dan mendatangkan hasil pendapatan 160 bilion ringgit. Ini besar ni. Okay, jika industri pelancongan berkembang dan pesat, utusan mendapat iklan juga. Yes, I'm not kidding. If semua sektor akan mendapat manfaat. F&B, hotel, craft tangan, iklan, media, semua akan dapat manfaat. But if you purposely sabotage, okay, and then play out the negative things, I will trick you, and then you know that. We will also speak to your editors. We have to make sure that, to me, national interest is above all. Kepentingan negara, jika kita berjaya seperti sasaran Tourism Malaysia, dengan kata lain, jumlah bilangan pelancong melebihi warga negara kita. And then they come and go. For instance, saya bagi contoh. Feedback yang saya dapat daripada China Embassy. Every China's tourists come in, average they spend 7,000 ringgit. Average 7,000. Bayangkan, kita ada 47 juta pelancong macam itu. Kaya raya, hari-hari beraya. Itulah matlamat kita. Kerajaan Madani, kita nak mengkayakan rakyat kita. Mensejahterakan rakyat kita. Okay, that is our objective.
And there you go. The internet went wild. People have been complaining. PAS came out with a statement. Bersatu said
media boycott him.
Akmal Saleh said something, and I saw this video on Berita KS. Probably by now, tens of thousands of people are trying to get him to apologize, which at this point he might or he might not. I mean, I personally think he should, but maybe not for the reasons that you expect. See, actually if you go on portals like World of Buzz or stuff like that, you'll actually see a bunch of people saying that Nga is actually correct to have said what he said. We do need to master English, that's a valid concern. Legendary reply, reporters should ask other more important questions rather than rage bait questions. He's speaking facts lah. Very reasonable reply. Wow. But if you do a little bit of swiping, you understand why. And it's because when World of Buzz published that piece, the section that they focused on was the "This is Visit Malaysia year 2026. We need to learn to step out of our comfort zone. Our target is tourists from all over the world. If we cannot master English, we must at least ensure that every tourist who comes here feels the spirit of unity for this country. Of course, we respect the national language, so I hope you won't make this into an issue. How magnanimous, berani kerana benar, keep going YB is unfortunately not what I would say in this situation. And let me tell you why. See, if you think logically about the situation, YB Nga actually made an assumption. And that assumption is that Utusan wanted to ask the question because they wanted to dog whistle, drag in KPKT into a whole debate about race and religion. Hashtag decolonize. Hormatlah bahasa kebangsaan, speak Malay. Which is like really obvious considering the fact that he used the word sabotage, right? Like, you wouldn't use the word sabotage unless you actually thought that the reason that the person asked that question was because they had bad intentions. So if we follow that line of logic, basically, Kor Ming assumed that the journalist had bad intentions, and what he did was what we call a preemptive response. If you try to make this a big issue, then we're going to have a problem, so don't make this a problem.
Although, yeah, the assumption may not be true.
Now, was he completely irrational to make that assumption? Well, given that our Utusan Sepoops said that Anwar banned under 16s from using social media, although it wasn't actually true, maybe, given the way that social media is so polarized nowadays and people love to turn almost everything into a race and religion issue,
maybe it's not completely irrational then.
but if you look at the way that the opposition and all of the racists are going out one after another, smelling blood, diving for the DAP, hashtag type C, racist arrogant, with a side of tak hormat bahasa kebangsaan, and you can see that maybe this was not the very best deal. I mean, if we're completely objective about it and we're not trying to favor anyone, I think it's quite easy to see that people can ask questions for any number of reasons, and it isn't always because they want to make something into an issue. I'm not saying that some people won't make things into an issue because some people actually have agendas, they're actually racist, they actually want to create this kind of drama so they can get eyeballs, clicks, ad revenue. But honestly, I think that there are at least two lessons that we can get from this, both for YB Nga and probably also for me as well. The first of which is, maybe you shouldn't assume the worst of people. Because if you think about it, yeah, sure, maybe you'll get the odd journalist who will actually turn this into a racial issue. Maybe it's gonna become a whole long drama that will plague you time and time again whenever you try to deal with this issue. But if you think about it, by actually acting on that assumption and then trying to kecam the journalist who hadn't even done anything by that point, you didn't prevent the issue. No, you drew attention to it. That's exactly what happens when you have the Streisand effect, which is when you try to suppress something from coming out, but then you cause thousands upon thousands of people to look at the issue in a way that makes it so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and before you know it, here is the drama you are hoping to avoid, except 10 times bigger. Because in case Minister Nga hasn't realized, we live in a social media age, and videos can just spread like. But there's also a second lesson from all of this, which is that maybe you should respond in a gentle way. I mean, there's a very fine line between avoiding problems and causing problems, and if we think about what YB Nga did, he basically bulldozed through all of that, and the result I think is quite clear for everyone to see. You know, I think he tried to be nice about this, and he tried to say stuff like gentleman's agreement, don't politicize this, but I think that he would have done so much better if he didn't actually make any threats. Because if you think about it, I don't think anybody, minister, prime minister or otherwise, has a good reason to be going out there and threatening journalists. And you might think that you're not threatening a journalist, but you do need some self-awareness, because if you're a minister and you're saying that you are going to talk to the editor, there's very clear power asymmetry right here, and if you're not aware of that, then you really need to think to yourself about what happened and take a good long look in the mirror. If YB Nga had just changed the order of what he said a little bit, asked people not to politicize this, and then just answer the question normally, I don't think that would have been so hard. I don't think people would have made this into a viral thing. Threatening, fighting. Kalau mereka berkuasa, mereka akan bagai kaduk yang naik junjung. Literally just having that bit of small social sensitivity would save you so much trouble you have no idea. Especially since you're giving an interview to national media. Cause bro, and here I will happily call a minister bro, I think you really need some media awareness. You need to understand how your presence is going to come out across the media. And by the way, you could also call call the editors even if you didn't say what you said on the interview, so I really don't see why you needed to go out there and threaten the journalist in the first place. All in all, I think that this was really a very bad decision on Kor Ming's part, made as an overreaction to a simple question that could have been malicious, was probably just innocuous, done probably because he wanted to control the media cycle, stop any problems from coming out, only to cause the problem to multiply to 100 times of what it would have been if he just answered the question nicely. Honestly, even if there were a problem or if that particular journalist had caused any problems, I think KPKT could have just very easily dealt with it at that point and in that situation and just avoid creating a situation that it didn't need to be in. But well, it is what it is, and YB Ngas gonna be out there, I guess, receiving comments from all over the internet, screaming Type C, chauvinist, mantap, mantap, over and over again, as unfortunately he makes DAP into public enemy number 1. And it's very unfortunate, but YB Nga, this is my honest assessment, that is what you did, and I think the best word to describe it is #regrettable. To be fair, I think a lot of these things are things that you can only know in retrospect, but what I do know, and it doesn't take retrospect to say any of this, is that probably the best way to deal with this is to go out to people and say, I'm sorry, I made a bad assumption, I shouldn't have made that assumption, and it would be totally correct for you to go out there and make that apology, because assuming that people have bad intentions in the first place was never something that was good, it was never gonna yield any good return, and at the end of the day, I don't think apologizing costs much. You are a minister that wants everybody to clean up trash, you won international awards and everything, and I think that all of us out there, we want to see this project actually succeed. I'm sure that you can muster up the courage to apologize. So YB Nga, if you watch this, I encourage you to apologize, because frankly, even I think that what you did was not the smartest move that you've ever made. You can do a lot better than that. But anyway, what do you think, Sapoops? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's all I'll say about that, and bye.